Oh, good. Yeah.
Fourth runner-up in the state championship. In their division, they went to help me out with the actual
Framingham.
frame. Really, a top drop. All group of the so excited. To the teacher.
Orlandella, yes. Yep.
For her, and you can,
All right.
one question is, can everybody hear just normal speak, or do you want a microphone? We're all set? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true too. Good point.
When the boys start.
Yes. So. Yes. She's actually hard. You have to you have to read your lips.
I think it's
Okay, we'll just do this.
it on.
Yes, it is.
Okay. How's that, everybody? Hi, it is afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Orlandella, and I'm about ready to introduce some of our shining stars on our robotics team. But just to take a second, I want to just say how moved I am just being here for 20 minutes and the warm reception that we all have gotten and the connections. I mean, someone saying I was a first robotics coach, someone taught, someone I heard rumor about you. I haven't met you yet, but I will. And just so, and your niece is doing amazing things with robotics. So I'm already going, wow. Okay, so we're gonna Zoom with her because that's awesome. And how many connections, just amazing. So I've been waiting to make a better relationship with the Eastham COA, and thank goodness for John, made it happen, and for Alex, who made it happen as well. So that's just first and foremost. A tiny bit about me. I'm a little bit unconventional as far as a robotics coach. I born and raised in Chatham, by the way, went to Chatham High School, went to school down in Virginia as a computer science major. This was back in the 1900s. And I was the only woman in many, many of my classes. And that is not an excuse, but it definitely took its toll a little bit. And we didn't have laptops back then, right? So I had to wait to go to the computer lab. So all of my code needed to be written on paper in my notebook. So I see some nods, so that sounds pretty, yeah, that was the way. And if you forgot one semicolon in your notebook, well, that wasn't good. So, because you'd have to turn that in. So there was no, hey, error here because of this line. So anyhow, I folded and I became an English teacher for 17 years at Cape Tech. Cape Tech had an English department, loved it there. Any of you know Bill Fisher, Tim Carroll, those kind of old names, that's who hired me. So there for 17 years. And then I came to Nauset as a tech integrator. So what my main job is at Nauset is I teach technology to teachers to kind of make it more accountable. So I'm an English major, right? I'm an education minor, but I come from the philosophy that if you can learn it, you can teach it. So thank goodness for Tom Conrad, all this Beck's material, and then we just kind of went, oh, what do we do? So we came, it went to Mashpee under Amanda Hoff, if any of you know her, she's brilliant. And she kind of gave us some Beck's training for robotics. And our first class was 4 years ago. And it was an Explore computer science class. We still offer this. So this Explore class has Beck's robotics kind of intro. We fly the drone, code drone, to go through an obstacle course. Like we make pool noodle arches, and we angle the hoops, and kids have to measure and do their pseudocode and all that good stuff. And then they do some 3D printing, and then back to Beck's. And that's the first time we met Alex, because Alex, you were a freshman 40 years ago in that class. And did that take off? So Alex went
No problem.
4 years ago to our first Beck's competition that we hosted. I mean, go big or go home, right? So we and we won it. We won the Cape Cod League. And so that means we showed up at the Massachusetts State Tournament. And Alex, what did you have for a robot?
Little tiny claw bot, a little tiny bot with a little arm on it.
It was adorable. But we definitely were small fish in a very, very big pond. Because that's what, and you did receive an award that year. Or was that Jackson's team?
That was Jackson.
Jackson's team received an award. It was the Inspire Award because we had so much young talent and just really excited to be there. And so we got our first trophy for winning, but just for really trying hard and being good sports. So fast forward to sophomore year, we did not make the state tournament then. Alex's junior year, we went to the Southeast Regional. That's when you guys joined. That's when Tim and Anthony joined. So junior year last year in Connecticut was the Southeastern Regional Tournament where you guys did score, but you got a trophy there.
Yeah.
The Inspire?
Got the energy.
The Energy Award, yes. They are amazing. I wish you saw that robot too. This robot could climb. And I think you were the only climber. So anyhow, I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm going to turn this over to Deb. But this year, made it to the state tournament. This is the robot that made it. And to see how far they've come from the tiny little clawbot 4 years ago to this robot, which is really impressive. I'm going to let them take over now to talk about what the game is, how it changes, and all that good stuff. So you all know Alex Maldacker, senior. We're going to miss him.
Oh,
We have, if you guys want to step on.
please.
We have Anthony Zoe, and we have Tim Nass. So,
I mean, I think I'm also senior. About 2 years now, the team program.
My name is Tim Nass, senior Nass. Also new products for 2 years, and I'm a professor and also the.
So we started this, or I started 4 years ago. And then 2 years ago, these two joined the team. And they a robot last year, but they on this robot. Our robot's name is Frostbite. That's our team name. His name is also Terry, so his name is Frostbite Terry. A bit of a weird name, but I love Frostbite Terry. Great robot. Yeah, so basically each year there's a game that Vex assigns us to compete in. And each year the game changes. The objectives change. So for example, this year, the goal is to score rings on the mobile goals and place them into corners of the field. The field is a 12-foot by 12-foot field with 4 corners within a square. And each corner is either a positive or a negative corner. And if you take a goal that has 2 rings on it, and you put 2 rings on it, and you put it in a negative corner, it'll subtract 2 points from the other team score. But if you were to put it in the positive corner, which would be over in this corner, then it would double the score of those rings for your team. So last year the game was called Over Under. Each year there's a new name for the game as well. This year it's called High Stakes, because at the end of the game you can climb on the scaffolding in the middle of the field. Yeah.
So track control is, it sounds like it's just, you know, over it, in 45. First 15 seconds, the game is one of this program to over here at the edge of the quarter. Try to score as many wins as you can, but that's trying to. Um, yeah, 50 seconds are 40. There are 2 points for having the team of
Yeah. Okay, so the whole name of the game, just, score rings on your stage. I think on so that you win on that stage. So how the game works is you have 2 minutes total. You start off with, as Anthony said, 15 seconds promise, and then a minute 45 of crowd control. But initially, it added so that you minute 30 where you can stack rings onto your stakes and then put them into the positive corners. What would double the point stake. So what teams would do is they would stack rings as fast as they can and then put their stake in the pot. And they would just hold it. They just try and keep that stake in the positive corner so that when the minute 30 was up, they would have double points on that stake. So vets realized this. They realized that the game was kind of just boring for people would sit in our corners and no one's moving around, not fun, there's not a lot of strategy. They changed it up where these positive corners are protected for the last 30 seconds. That gives teams about a minute 15 to stack rings, get them in the corner, and then pull that corner. Don't let anyone take their stake out. And then for the last 30 seconds, they can try and, their other team's rings on the stake and then put them in the negative corners. So that made made the game a lot more lucrative, a lot more open for different ideas. What a lot of teams would do is they would, as I said, just stack positive rings fast they could, get them to the corners, then when the time is up, they would either try and stack any rings on the stakes, just leave them in the field, or they would stack their other team's rings, put them in the corner, and that racks points. Another tip to get to, there's a large gap in the middle that has 3 different levels. Third level is the highest, first level is the lowest. But I feel like that stopped the target of the game was, but you realize that the aim is the technology and the weight on your robot that the high aim would take is too much. And it was much more efficient, much easier just to stack for your points that way. So the aim wasn't really that big of a component. Like that. So I feel like the name was kind of misleading this year. It wasn't really about time. Getting ready to mistake.
We talked about the robot. You can't just build everything.
Right. So your robot is limited to 88 total watts. Your motors. We use 11-watt motors typically. They're a little larger, and we also have little 5.5-watt motors. So if you use just 11 watts, you can put 8 motors on your robot. If you use only 5.5, you can put 16 motors on your robot. But the 5.5, obviously, since they're half a watt, they're a lot weaker. So what we decided to do is use 66 of our total watts just on drivetrain, so on our wheels. So they gave us a really speedy, really quick, just really efficient moving robot, and then dedicated the rest of our wattage to intake here.
So this is our conveyor belt intake. It has it's on a chain, and attached to the chain are these standoffs, piece of plastic, which is used to hook onto the ring. So it allows us to carry the ring of the robot onto a goal. So when the goal is attached, it'll swing it and flip it over on. And the way we attach or we clamp onto the goal by using this clamp right here. Down on it. And this clamp is activated by pneumatic. So underneath there's the pneumatic piston right here. you all can see that, the thread. The solenoid is right here on the robot. And this is our pressure gauge, this is our air tank, we decorated with a livestock. So the fluid just goes down the piston, and when it activates it, it shuts it on the overload. So I so we have it programmed, so when we press A on it, it'll press down. Normally we just back.
Whoa.
So it's press down. Securely attached data. Use our conveyor belt to push it up on the. To put it on the. And then the second aspect of this is our intake, which are these rubber rollers right here. This swing, it's called a passive intake. So it just hangs down. The way it's activated is normally it would be out of size of the 18 inches that we have to be limited to. So when we have it started, when we start the game, we back up for autonomous, which causes it to fall down. And this lever right here to slide down, meaning that it can't go past this point anymore. So it's sort of like a one-way release. It can go down, but then it can't go back up because of this release right here. And that the reason we added that was because when it went past this point, it went all the way up. When it was taking the ring down, up and down on the ring, and it wouldn't pick it up effectively. So, all right, the conveyor belt and our intake are attached to the same button. Normally we'd be on the upper tail. Then what we can do is now, since we scored rings, we can bring it over to the corner and let go of it in the corner. And although during the game, you have to change your strategy. So while we were at state, we realized that our robot was being slowed down because of the weight. It was pretty heavy. So we had to remove one of the main parts of our robot, which was this, which were the scoring arm. So on the field, on the perimeters, there's these larger, they require a little bit more effort to score because they're standing up and they're much higher than those lower ones. So before we took it off, we had an arm that would start like this. So normally it would pass through and onto the goal. But when we lifted it up the tiniest bit, it would slide in and get caught in between these two pieces of plexiglass, and have this arm move up all the way from this position or onto this ring. Smart. And then we can have it go back down and then down below the position where it wouldn't get caught underneath.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
On the field.
So at one time, there's 4 robots. So, you want to talk about lines?
Yeah. So, for the most part, like, during the regular competition round, your alliances and are randomly selected. So there's a red team and the blue team, and a red alliance and a blue alliance, and each alliance has 2 teams on it. So prior to like your match, you get to kind of meet with your alliance a bit. You get to set up, you get to strategize. So you have to like find the weaknesses and the strengths on your robot, compare them to the weaknesses and strengths on your alliance's robot. You have to work together, make up like a game plan on that. Also, you can go kind of get with your opponent's team, see what they might be best at. It's just like, you know, fun sports. The players are getting scouted teams with plays that other teams trying to predict that kind of what we do, where we look at their robot, we look at what they're good at, here's what they're going to try to do, here's what we should do based on our strengths. So autonomous, also you're working with your alliance the way that your alliance and you are also like each gonna have different strengths for autonomous. Autonomous comes like you can score points by stacking on a wall stake, on the ground stake, and then also by touching the scaffolding in the middle towards the end of the autonomous period. So each team will have like designated autonomous setups that they've practiced and that they've trained. There's certain runs where maybe they'll put a certain amount of rings on the stake and then go touch the wall or something. So you have to strategize your autonomous with your team as well. So you might go ask your alliance, what does your autonomous do? Which autonomous should we use? What are you missing in your autonomous that we could do to get us more points?
May I ask a question? Autonomous, can you define that? Is it when the robot runs on its own without the remote control thing, right?
So that's for most of the program. Obviously, your robot do the like the purple program. Hopefully, it'll run exactly the program. Hopefully, this do motion without any driver control, even in the
So we have. So that's putting there's 2. Clock code is already set up for you, but that's code is so for clock codes, they're made for 4 motor drive. So you have 4 total motors for but
Aren't they cute?
there's
Boys play with toys.
So clock code setup isn't really made. The reason why we wanted 6 motors is because they're easier to smooth. So what we did was we first typed out the code and so we can manipulate each motor individually, and then we transfer all that to the block code. I don't know the other devices, but it's a very valid thing.
And the 6-motor drivetrain has been very helpful because it allows us to be more competitive because we're driving faster. We can push other robots out of the way. And it gives us enough power to use these hooks right here because during the game, our robot, we already had used up all of our 8 motors. We didn't have any additional motors to spare. So we're trying to figure out a way to climb without using additional motors. And the way we decided was to go for a passive intake, a passive climb, which doesn't require any active movement. We just drove into the middle scaffolding. And it's a bit wider than this. And these ends of the screws, they're like barbed, and they would allow us to ride up onto the bar, and then we found the center of gravity, so it would stay perfectly balanced on there. And we had a couple of matches where it was close, and they slid a piece of paper underneath their robot and determined that it was hanging.
Wow.
literally
Why
this
would
far
that-
off the ground, very close, but we're very, very consistent.
Jeez.
Yes,
How familiar are you, know, you're building the game requirements?
yeah, so actually one of the first parts of the design process is reading the manual and seeing the rules for this year's games, what restrictions you have. And because that allows you to think more clearly about how you're gonna go about designing your robot and what you can and can't do. Because each year, they release the game in May at the end of the world competition. And then, there's also a game manual that is released as well. So that is like 100+ page PDF full of the rules. It's good to know that because in games, if you want to challenge a rule or a decision, you can, quote rules. And, sometimes that can help overturn a decision. You think we could show a match on the?
Um, sure, we could do that. That would be great. I have one other question though, because you compete with all different schools in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But can you just talk to the economies of scale and or size differentials? Because we're a small group,
Yeah.
but you're on the level playing field because of the regulations that are put in place
Yeah.
and the
So,
timings.
while some schools may have like a higher budget and, more access to materials. The way these robots are designed is that it allows teams that, don't have as large budget to still remain some competitive because of the standardized parts that it has. Like, for example, you probably have noticed this, but the robot is full of these little, metal bars with the square holes on them. That's the standardized building blocks of the robot. And all these screws come in like, 7 different sizes. These flex wheels come in a couple different sizes. So there's a lot of parts, but they all come in, certain sizes that you are forced to use. And the only, non-vect parts that you can use, or the only materials that you can use that are not produced by that company are, plexiglass. And even though you have to use a certain thickness, a certain, consistency, and you can only use the amount that's on a, 2 foot by 1 foot, sheet. And all the parts that you cut out and put on your robot have to fit inside that, 2 feet by 1 foot sheet. And you can also use non-functional decoration on your robot, which is why
Like
we
Lysol
use
cans.
here.
Like Lysol cans.
Yeah, like the Lysol.
The hydraulic, the physics sensors,
Yeah.
those can get very expensive.
Yeah.
So
So that is, one downside is that, these parts are very expensive, and since Bex produces them, you know, they're the only ones that you can really get them from. So they are very expensive parts, and often our school, like, we try to get, good parts, but often we're limited to what we can get. And we have to, just work with what we have, and even though it's not always the most competitive, and we still try to remain a competitive school. But it's difficult sometimes because some schools have access to workshops where they can go in anytime during the weekend and over the summer to work on their robots.
Oh,
They have, unlimited supplies, unlimited, like a lot of funding. You normally see, very good teams come out of, more, wealthy communities like Lexington and. Yeah, so Lexington has like super teams that are very, very good. They're known for being great. And yeah, so we are using some outdated parts on this robot. So that is like an aspect of, it doesn't allow you to be as quite competitive. If you work hard, you can make it up in skill somewhat. But to a certain degree, yeah.
Are you allowed to print your own card?
Yeah. You can only use the parts that Vex creates.
To kind of what Alex was saying about like, large schools, local schools, and close to Boston schools that a lot of funding, a lot of experience in the robotics field. They'll like have like the GPS sensors or the vision sensors or certain components that make their robot, especially their autonomous, very powerful. There's also another part of the competition that it's not a part of the tournament, but it's another way to qualify for roles is you can do skills, which is essentially 2 minutes of driving. Is it a minute or 2 minutes?
It's a minute of autonomous and a minute of.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. It's a minute of autonomous driving control, as he said, where you're just trying to score as many rings of stakes as possible. Doesn't matter what color, you're just trying to score and get points.
And you're the only team on the field.
Yeah, you're the only team on the field, so it's all about you and what you can do. But then there's also a minute of autonomous, which is a lot more than the 15 seconds that you get in tournaments, which means that you have to have coded a minute's worth your robot driving and scoring as much as possible, which is very hard to do without GPS sensors or vision sensors. That makes it much easier because you can detect where is an obstacle in front of you. This is how we can get around it. This is how we can do this and that. Whereas we're just going to have to code every little turn, every little move, and make sure it works well enough.
Yeah.
As many times as possible that we can actually run it in a skill.
Yeah, as Tim was saying, like we don't have the material to make it do those advanced like sensor and know exactly where it is on the field. So a lot of our autonomous is just trial and error, unfortunately. So we just have to like move forward 1 inch, turn 90 degrees left, and we have to map it out and do every tiny little step for like the tiniest bit of movement, um, which uh, which can be a little bit challenging at times.
Well, I had the opportunity to see one of these competitions, and I was amazed because the setup is a lot more standardized than this one is in this room. But it was impeccable how you went up and did it, everything, and we were cheering and everything. It was great. We can. Well, two things. This is the main host right here. Judith is on, so that's great. I can maybe send her the video that you're going to see because switching it over, we can make sure everybody sees it, but we'll work through that. We can open up for questions and maybe you want to do just some gyrations, just going around.
Good.
Python and Python because that's the easiest one to put up. But let's wait. Okay.
Can you tell us about the vision sensor?
So the vision sensor will be like it'll have like a small built-in AI to it where it'll tell if it has the ring, what color it is, what color is it, and then it'll tell the robot to towards it, to intake it, or to reject it. That simplifies a lot of the code. Like Alex said, we have to move everything in certain order very specifically because of how the field is set up. With an AI sensor or like a vision sensor, it's able to do that stuff without having to apply the code.
And like we have like notches cut out on our robot based on where to place it on the field that line up with the tiles. Just so it's exact each time where we start. While other teams, their robot is able to like adjust manually based on the field layout. So yeah, we have to be careful about where we set it up each time. Make sure it's on the right spot and if we're on the left or right side or if we're on the green team or red team. Yeah.
Another part of being a smaller school, having less experience for high school, that you don't have as many world, as many connections as being from Lexington, being from a larger high school nearby. Experience. That's what we saw in competition. Is that a lot of these Lexington teams, I'm sorry, I'm using an example, like these, say Lexington teams. They had like 8 teams that world. And they were so experienced and they had so much resources that they could build their robot during the summer or really early in competition. And then they could qualify for worlds prior to making it to states. So they're going to states already with the world's qualification. They're just trying to get the trophy. They already qualified for world. So what some of these teams will do is they will collude with other teams from their schools and they will purposely hang when they're playing with another good team. So that team isn't as highly placed and the team from their school is a little.
That's not right.
No.
Obviously, teams like Levi and like that.
I wonder if there's a betting line with
We would want to take.
DraftKings.
Try to play with integrity and use what we have, do the best we're given and just they'll try and qualify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys able to see? Competition over these events, that you know what you're up against? You get to see that?
So we can do a little bit of scouting. There's an app. Yeah, there's a Vex app that tells you how many awards the team has won, what matches they've played, what their score has been. But that can be difficult at times because if you're like from the Cape, you're ranked really well, then it would just be a indication of how you're playing teams on Cape Cod. You look at let's say
Mhm.
a team that wasn't the team as well. Play as well in their matches. Be better than Monkey Pod. They have definitely much fun.
And I had something. I know we keep saying Lexington, but if any of your children or grandchildren have played like club soccer where you pay money, we're playing against those teams as well, where it's an after-school club, not necessarily coming out of the public high school. So what's happening is they're taking children from the towns that are interested. They get some engineers, you pay a hefty fee, and then they compete as well. So just so you know, it's not just, public high school. So, and I'm not making excuses because these guys do a great job and
Amen.
big trophy case to prove it. If we could talk about your future and your plans after high school, is that a fair question?
Oh, yes.
Sure, I'm with Brown University, with a major in computer science and a minor in bioinformatics. I just want to go into the programming field to get a software engineer or to see what options open up when I'm in Brown.
I am committed to UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, going to be studying. I'm currently debating between electrical and computer engineering, but I'm not totally set whatsoever. My passion is mathematics, so I kind of want to find a major or find a skill where I can apply mathematics in the real world.
Great.
I'm committed to IT, for engineering and robotics.
What's RIT stand for, Alex?
Yeah.
Rochester Institute of Technology.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Went there.
Well,
How many kids are in the team and you have sponsors?
Yeah, that's sponsors. It's.
Yeah, I think that's just our thought.
Yeah.
Tournament. But other teams will have like super teams, like 8, 10 people on them. And then
Having more people means more ideas, and also able to separate everyone to specific groups, like, like we talked about this engineering notebook, which is just a notebook of our process, how we made our, how it progressed, how it evolved. Larger teams are the focus on this, which is another way to get in the world that isn't just straight up efficient, so that's why larger teams are also have bit of us.
Fantastic.
How many times here have you been through? How many times have you practiced?
how many like matches have we played? Probably like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We hosted a league, which is a 4-day tournament, at Nauset. We will definitely share that date for next year, so you can come see. We attended Mashpee, we attended Monomoy. 6 days of competition.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, wait, states, so that was 2 more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
And I will tell you, as I shared, I was at one of those competitions and I was amazed at the camaraderie, respect and admiration of each of the teams. I mean, because it's competitive, but they're not trying to kill each other. They're working together, especially when they have to reset the board. After they all go in there and they do it, and they're just meeting new people and working really well together. So it was an amazing experience for me.
Hmm.
You guys had this conversation in one of the states, so, right? You want to tell that story of how you just said, yeah, you're right. And they took the judge's hand and the judge turned around and said, oh my goodness.
DQ'd.
Qualification, I think it's the 32nd. Arguing in states because it was my day. But when they came over in this particular instance, not I turned around and said, wow, it's really good
Yes.
sportsmanship and great kids and we got a great leadership team here.
Yes.
We're hoping to have a building here.
So,
Good job, boys.
so maybe we can run the video a little bit later on, but maybe you can just do a couple of pickups. Oh, I don't know about that. I would let the experts do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went. You were able to adjust and to keep up.
Come on. This was during last year's competition. We were like for easily making the championship match. Functioning, and we looked at it and realized that our wires were cut. So
Oh my goodness.
we didn't have the resource
Oh,
lost map. But you know, we fixed that issue. We put our wires together and we came back, started winning again, and we made it to the championship and we won. That's how we qualified.
all right. You got Alex Rodriguez.
Low on. Very, I'm not sure why.
What's it doing? My goodness. Oh. Really?
We don't have a lot of aircraft. Right now.
Yeah.
What's the guy?
Oh, driving. Anybody? Question. Could you hold this? I have to go. I'm gonna get that video going. So that's what everybody online is seeing.
Okay, you
It's
want
nice to meet you. You can just follow it. If
Okay.
I'm just gonna work. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
There must be people online, people at home that are looking at that.
Yeah. Try to overlay it. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Love about building teams for this is it's the coder, the builder, the designer, the person that just like that. And to keep notes in a notebook, so it puts an art in. And you'll see this is the team's YouTube channel. So even some teams that hand out their business cards when it's time to talk about their alliance partnership. So it really lends itself to like all this skill set.
Oh, wait. If can you pause that? Because I'm gonna put this, yeah.
So are you?
So it happens at the time.
That's fine. Figure out my careful with the other.
Oh, the current kid at that time.
I don't believe that.
Yeah. You know, what we might be able to do is simultaneous. We can watch this and people can enjoy both ones. But can we make it bigger, do you think? Or is that the biggest it gets? Oh, it's small. Oh, well, how about this? Oh, that's on the phone itself. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna, for the Zoomers, I'm gonna take a picture of the screen. So, just informationally, we're gonna be showing a video of a competition. And, I'm gonna be taking it for the Zoomers, but you can enjoy both things, live and then in, recorded. Is there sound too? Oh, the sound is off on the computer. Alex knows where it is. Okay, there's sound, there's music. Okay, we'll just go without music.
Yeah.
Okay. Where we- That's why.
This is the one I saw. I remember that guy.
Oh,
Four. Two, three.
Bouncing by. This is just a speed test of our robot. Put a camera on it.
oh, hmm,
So this event went very fast. This is before we added all of this stuff on top. It was just this layer on the bottom. It was very fast.
yeah.
Without the, it's hard, but
Here, Alex,
Try lifting it.
you just hit X.
Must be like the robotic vacuums.
Yes.
you have a weight limit for the robot for the rule.
No,
There's no way left. That's the.
We don't try to balance it, so it doesn't.
this was part of the robot design process is making new iterations. So this was a simpler, earlier design we made. It was much slower. This is before we got our field, because as you were saying before, sometimes it's harder for us to acquire materials. That was something we built.
Wow.
Hmm.
One of the, Judith from the Zoom just made a comment. It's just like the automated, vacuum cleaners, like Roomba.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just saw one that has a claw that can come out and pick up pieces of paper and shoes out of the way. So it's,
Oh.
you have a job after COA.
This is our last year. And
Oh,
big
wow. Whoa, yeah. Huh. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, all right. Woo!
Oh,
State tournament.
Oh,
my God.
I'll tell you, that is amazing. Oh, here it comes again.
Oh,
shameless plug. If it's okay, John, I want to share my contact information with you.
Oh,
We're willing, it's really obvious, there's a lot of talent here with the people with a lot of experience. And especially with these guys leaving, I need to make more relationships with people. So if that's okay with you, John, I'll leave that in my contact information. Feel free to send me an email or whatever. We won't know too much until we see the brand new game when it comes out in May. But John, if it's okay with you, I will send that video and information to you in May. And if anyone wants to join in, we would absolutely love it.
that's
We
perfect.
currently work with Harry, if any of you know Harry. Harry comes on all the time, so we're used to Harry. But we would love to join forces and add to that group. So
Fantastic.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you. Oh, it's our pleasure.
Your team only has
No, this is just one team out of all of our robotics. So there is another team that did quite well this year. And then we have some fledgling teams that are coming along. So these mostly it's 2 teams of seniors, right? Yeah,
mostly
2 teams of seniors. So this is one senior team. Yep. And then we do have some sophomores that we're looking at that we think will be pretty promising. So it's gotta.
That's great.
Yeah. Only about 75% of the time I was home. In town, outside of Boston, and they had a picture of the local.
Yeah. We don't have 40. Yeah, but I would say we probably have 20.
This is an example match, and you can see how.
Just turn to the side if you would. For the screen.
We don't, Oh, speaking of class. Nice.
I think part of one thing, zero one.
But it covers around that.
And even if you have a required amount of a driver at competition, or
No.
it's one person can do it.
You can just have one person.
This is an example match. This isn't our team. This is another team.
Oh. Cheapest.
You said this was autonomous? Okay, good. Thank you.
Stuck. It's full. Wow. Huh. Huh. She loves it.
So today, entire, with all different game elements, everything is new. The first year was seesaw. You had to balance your robot on the seesaw at the end, like it's just me.
Okay.
Great.
So do you get a penalty? I'm sorry, do you get a penalty if you have a wrong on your robot? Like, it seemed like they were picking up where they were designated to pick up certain colors. So if you pick up the wrong color, you lose points for that?
No, part of the game is actually picking up your color, then back from the corner,
Okay,
which
good.
will take points away from them.
But if you aren't able to put it in the negative corner and then block out the negative corner, then you just score for your team, the other team. You have to be careful.
But Chris, you can't get the negative corner, you
Right.
just gave them a bunch of points.
I think we have to get going. They have class in 10 minutes.
Oh,
We're right around the corner, so, maybe. Back there.
amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
My
Please.
information.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of,
yeah, amazing. So glad.
let me, Alex can stay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
After he loads up the van.
Yes, yes.